What do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. 800-401-6681.
Nashville's first curling venue is here at T-Line Nashville. Come check out T-Line Nashville and experience the world's fastest growing winter sport today. Curling is a fun and simple sport that's a perfect outing for friends, corporate events, families, or parties. T-Line also has classic bowling and modern bowling mini games. With over 20 HD TVs, you can come watch your favorite teams and some of the best food and drinks here in Nashville in the large bar and grill area. They also have an outdoor area with a fire pit, and you can't forget the live music. T-Line Nashville is a one-stop shop for a great night out. Located at 106 Duluth Avenue and online at tlinenash.com. You can book your party now or give them a call at 615-439-1024. That's 615-439-1024. And make sure you give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook at T-Line Nash for all the news, events, and updates. T-Line Nashville. Nashville's first curling venue is here.
From the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Everybody stay calm. Stay calm.
Call now on the F&M Bank phone line, 615-844-5600.
You are an unstoppable good idea machine.
Now here's Bruno and Zach.
Welcome in the afternoon stretch. Bruno Reagan, Devlin McKenzie. No Zach Williams today. He actually went on a quarter-mile jog, and he was too winded. That was about 9 a.m., and he's not going to be able to make it in today. He told me he was way too exhausted from that. So it's just going to be me today, and you know what that means. We got a full slate, baby. I'm going to give you the thesis of the show today from the top, all right? First hour is college football. We're betting the board. Second hour is NFL. We're betting the board. We're going through our picks every Thursday. We usually do go through our NFL football picks. Me and Devlin will just add our little spin on it because the boy's hot right now. Bruno Reagan, if you haven't been paying attention, Bruno is hot right now, all right? And something I just recently – also, Devlin, hello, how are you doing?
Pretty mediocre
Pretty mediocre today?
Yeah. I mean, the worst football game ever is on today.
Today is going to be hilarious because
awful.
The predicted over-under for today – and Zach, I think always Zach is like, let's try and, keep the lines and stuff out of some analysis. But that's what's expected out of the game today is awful football. The wind is going about 20, 30 miles per hour. We have a backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett, and we essentially have glorified backup in Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. The Steelers wide receivers can get no separation. There's going to be very little deep threat. It's going to be a slugfest. And even if a guy like Nick Chubb can pull out 3 touchdown game, then you have to hope the Steelers answer. And it's going to be interesting. We're going to get to that. But Devlin, again, so you're not excited at all for this as a Browns fan?
So that's the thing is that, I'm looking forward to the game because I'm a Browns fan.
Yeah.
But there's a thought in the back of my head. So for those of you listening who are going to be watching the game, I feel awful if you're not a Browns or Steelers fan. There's nothing to look forward to except Virginia Tech and West Virginia playing tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be terrible football. Awful football game.
I wouldn't even say, I don't know if it's going to be bad. I mean, it's a division. There's something at stake. It's a divisional game in that regard. Sometimes bad football isn't the worst to watch. And there's no guarantee it'll be bad. For all we know, they could blow the over out into the water going into the second quarter. Was that likely going to happen? No. Is the storylines that we have mentally going into this game probably going to happen? Yes. Is Amazon Prime a silly thing to put an entire day of NFL game on? Yes, it is. All right. But that's the world we live in now, and we just got to suck it up. Now, before we get into basically a first hour of absolute college pick'em madness, because the boy's hot, and something I just figured out actually is on the 15th of this month, Hispanic Heritage Month started. I think that's when the Magic started too. So I'm not saying it's one thing or the other, but is it a coincidence that we had a plus 4,500 week at the start of Hispanic Heritage Month? Absolutely not. And that doesn't end until, also, how silly, they get for our month, they give us September 15th through October 15th. It's really 2 months. That's a slap in the face to all my Hispaniolas out there, but I'm going to ride this train. I removed remember when I came onto the show and said the only way to beat Vegas is to pull out? I removed the limits, all right? We're going to have about 30 or 40 picks today. Before we do that, though, I wanted to get into, there's 2 stories off the top of my mind today that I think the national media is going through. I just want to give my quick takes. First of all, I didn't know this wasn't allowed. A student threatened a nuclear attack in Utah. Yes, that headline is correct. And listen, let me tell you how something like this happens. Devlin, so you didn't go to college, you went to trade, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I went to college and there was this thing called Yik Yak. Did you have that in high school?
No.
No?
Never heard of it.
There's an app called Yik Yak. I remember this as clear as day. And Yik Yak is an anonymous message board app, essentially. And it gets your area, and then you can interact. So Vanderbilt had a Yik Yak like pool, and it was extremely popular back when I was in college. So I guess that was six or so years ago when Yik Yak was popular. But there were issues with Yik Yak being anonymous. I remember this was when the Missouri University, their football team was protesting and all that. The students were protesting racial injustice, and people would go on Yik Yak and threaten racial violence on there, and people were getting arrested back then too on Yik Yak. So that's just to preface this. Also, my roommate went on Yik Yak and said he had so much homework he was going to jump off the Batman building in Nashville, and Yik Yak sent that to our coaches, and they punished him for it. So that was... So that's the story of this app. Well, apparently it's still around, and this Utah student, a she, by the way, claimed if Utah doesn't beat, I believe they were playing San Diego State, she posted, if they don't beat them, I'm going to detonate a nuclear reactor that is located in the university and cause mass destruction. Now, first of all, I didn't know this was illegal. Because I have done this plenty of times on the app twitter.com. I'm scared to search my own name because I know I've done this before. I say things like this all the time. I've said it on air. So for one, I am worried. For two, I didn't know there were nuclear reactors in universities. Apparently they're ever so slightly minor that this shouldn't have been even considered a real threat. But they did book the student. They took her in, they booked her. I'm still trying to catch up, see if she was actually charged with it, because they booked her on charges of terrorism. This is just a person who just thought they were probably making a lighthearted joke. They were like, if we lose to San Diego State, I will blow up the nuclear reactor. And I thought the same thing with Northern Illinois.
This story reminds me so much of, there was a headline forever ago, a long time ago, and this guy's quote was, I'm fixing to blow up the bathroom. And the police arrived, and they were like, all right, well, this had nothing to do with an actual bomb.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Do you think she's the only person to ever say that?
No, I've said it before.
It's crazy.
I'm scared to search at Bruno Reagan and nuke. At Bruno Reagan and nuke. Because if there's one thing's for sure, I have threatened violence before. In a joking manner, but I have threatened violence. I have also threatened mass destruction, but I assume there's a sense of sarcasm in that I'm not a terrorist. But the immediate reaction tonight was, I can't believe this is not allowed. So, because I know a lot of you out there, if you listen to the Afternoon Stretch, me and Zach show, you're probably younger, and you've been in Xbox Live parties. I know you say these things. All right? So we're all, if anything, this just proves we're all on a list. So that was a hilarious story. Hopefully they just give her a slap on the wrist, but
I think she got released, but I'm not.
Yeah, she's released, but I don't know if she had
charged?
to pay. Yeah, they're going to actually carry these charges out with her, because I've highly doubt. But who knows? Maybe she was like, oh, we just see a video of her in an interview. She's like, I was dead serious. I was going to nuke the University of Utah.
Straight face and all.
Oh no, you thought that was a joke. I'm a sleeper cell, and I'm going to nuke the University of Utah. Anyways, so that was one. So that's a story that's so crazy, it's funny. And then you get another unbelievable story that I've had a good time with, and that's the Boston Celtics coach. Now, tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, Devlin. Are you a basketball fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ime?
Yeah.
Udoka?
Yeah.
Perfect. Ime Udoka facing season-long. I don't keep up with basketball too much, but this story is awesome. Is facing a season-long suspension for a relationship with a member of franchise's staff. Guys, there is someone in the National Football League, the NFL, that is accused of sexually assaulting over 20 people, and he got I don't even think he got half a season.
11 weeks.
11 weeks. So over half a season, a little over half a season. This guy had a consensual relationship with an unnamed woman, and he is potentially going to be suspended for the entire season. And this isn't from the head office. This is from the Celtics' own organizational standpoint. At that point, like a whole season? Is he going to be unpaid? How's this going to work? Is he going to be fired? There's still a lot of details that are yet to be released. But there has to be something so under the radar right now that isn't being reported, because what is this?
I mean, there's definitely a lot. There has to be so much going on behind the scenes, right?
Well, there's speculation.
Right.
There's speculation. One of the speculation, not to spread misinformation, I'm openly admitting it's speculation. Mm-hmm. But there are people that are assuming, oh, maybe he got with, someone who was related that worked in the same space with, a higher up at the Celtics. It could be one of those things, because it can't just be. As someone who, it's no secret, when I went to Vanderbilt, there was a really, really large rape case against a bunch of football players. When I first got to Vanderbilt, it was a massive national story. And we learned a lot about consent and things like that and the power dynamic. And for my own judo purposes, I go through a bunch of national sources. I get trainings in safe sport. I get trainings in everything imaginable. And in all that, we talk about consent and the power dynamic, relationships in the workplace, relationships in the dojo. And a lot of people will go on and tell you, which I believe to be true also, that you can't be a superior to somebody and have at least an ethical relationship with an underling, because the power dynamic at your workplace is going to trickle into the relationship. So on that end, I get what they did was probably not the most company work professional moral thing, but a year suspension leads me to believe, for what is openly being called a consensual relationship, is that there's just some huge underlying drama that's yet to be released. That, without a doubt, will be released. And until they do, everyone's just going to run wild with the story. I don't know how many people. I mean, where was that guy, Doug Lobetti, that already lied about? He lies about everything. He's about to make up something going into here. But
the big thing right now is people are comparing this to, this is making a bigger headline than the Brett Favre situation.
I've seen a lot of things with Brett Favre, and while Brett Favre really does deserve to go to jail for a little bit, they've compared it to Jameis Winston. They compared it to Colin Kaepernick and how the media. I'm glad you brought that up, because Brett Favre is clearly a football player that's on the tail. He's on the tail end of losing it. No, this is not abstaining Brett Favre. I can just see how it's not as interesting in the news cycle. What do me as a media person, what do we want to talk about? What people want to talk about? What interests people? And what Brett Favre did was so clearly guilty. It's like, what is there to talk about? Yeah, Brett Favre's guilty. Throw him in jail. But there's at least an iota of interpretation to be had.
It's vague.
And that makes for an interesting conversation. Yeah, then we could speculate. So, yeah, Brett Favre's, and it doesn't make the things like Jameis Winston getting so much media scrutiny. I think he was suspended for a game too for $37 worth of crab legs. Yeah, in retrospect, all that is silly. But I can see why at the time media ran with the Jameis Winston story, is because people are so quick to blame media. And if I was on their end, I would get it. But the reason we talk about things is because you want to listen to them. So it's just one big loop. Brett Favre, yeah, just throw him in jail for a little bit. I mean, $5 million from a welfare fund is pretty insane for your. You know why he did it, right? Is to get his daughter a new volleyball. Yeah. I mean, on one end, that's just hell of a dad move. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'll commit white collar crime in the millions to get you a new That's just a guy who's never been told no in his life.
Just donate it to the school, Brett. You were an NFL quarterback for like 20 years.
Oh, dude, trust me, that money goes. That money goes quick.
Fair.
I know so many ways that can. And speaking of money going quick, once we get to the first break, we'll talk about our money going quick. It's interesting. We have to figure out what to do with you two, Devlin. We have to figure out what to do with you and your picks. I don't know if we should. We'll give you one more week of real picks, and then we'll probably go to Fade Devlin, because Fade Devlin, like, it really is like it's like a Scarlet Rose. So, but before we get into that, I just want to round up on this Ime Udoka story, because whatever he did, I can't imagine being suspended for an entire year and then coming back and just being like business as usual.
No,
like. I don't know what the long-term impact of this story is, because I can't imagine him just, if it was something so severe that he had to get suspended for a year, how is he going to come back and operate on a normal basis? I don't see it happening.
I mean, by the end of this, I'm pretty certain he's going to resign.
Yeah, you think they're probably just giving him a window to...
I think he's going to end up resigning, because I don't think there's any way to like heal that relationship between him and the front office. I mean, you're going to suspend this guy for a year. Obviously, there's so much background we don't know about. But people have done so much worse. I mean, Deshaun Watson. It's a bad time to be a Browns and Celtics fan.
It's a bad time to be a Browns fans, and to be honest, some of them have embraced it. So that's another thing. It'll drive people mad.
Yeah.
But so we have assistant coach Joe Mazzulla is likely to become Boston's interim head coach for the season. So I don't know how this fares for them in their regular season, because Boston obviously did go on to the finals, lose, but they're retaining a lot of their talent. I'm sure they were poised to make another run. It's sad for Boston fans, and I'm sure players who want to keep competing at this high level to see such a thing go. But if the organization is willing to make such a drastic change, I'm just really excited. And that's the worst thing. Also, Richard Jefferson is like, well, just wait until you guys see what the real truth is. Like, post it. Yeah. We got to show it forward, bro. Like, I hate it when people sit on information. There's a lot of people sitting on information. For all we know, the real story is out there. It's circulating, and we just kind of have to dig through the mud a little bit, and we'll get it. But a year for an unethical, unprofessional relationship is pretty insane. But that's the NBA too. NBA is entirely different from NFL. I know we want to compare apples to oranges. Yeah, Ray Rice could technically like still play if he wasn't blackballed, but I don't know what this guy could have possibly done. My biggest interpretation is he had to have gotten with someone who was under him on a professional setting, but had a relationship also with a higher level person, because there's just no way you would be suspended. It has to be something like that. There's no way. And if it is, then shame on the Celtics for just suspending this guy for having a consensual relationship that maybe didn't end well. But I don't think it warrants that level of punishment at all if the story that we're being given at this point is to be believed. That's the problem with a lot of these organizations. They want to hide everything for whatever reason. They're like, we're just not ready to release this information yet. Well, now we have to come up with something in our head to justify the punishment. So, and I can see why. Also, I see a lot of people are very upset with not releasing the woman's name. They're like, why is the dude getting on blast? Why is it? I can easily see why the woman's name is being withheld, because she would be put on blast right now. She's not being suspended. That's what leads me to believe also she was an underleague. She's not being suspended. You know, she in a technical term could be the victim. And when you do go into these leagues, this is a little insight I can give you as a pro. When you become a coach in a league, you become a player in a league, you become an employee in a league, you have to fill out a ton of paperwork. You have to fill out a ton of paperwork. And not only that, you have to go to like 50 of these meetings, lectures, whatever, and you always sign and you say, I agree, I agree, I agree. So on the dotted lines, I guarantee you they have it's not allowed to have relationships at this level in the office, unless there's, if you and the ownership can come to an agreement, like you and your wife have been coaching together for 20 years and you want to come in, that's different. But you start a consensual relationship with your underling. I can see, because I've signed the papers for big companies too. ESPN, Fox. You can talk all the trash you want about USFL, XFL. They were under those companies. So I've signed these papers, and I can see where the punishment is all up to the ownership. But they did break the rules. So I don't know. Do you think the punishment's probably warranted?
A year?
Yeah. No. I mean, it's for what the information we have.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. That's
But it's funny. I mean, this guy just got game, and he's getting a year suspended. This is his livelihood.
I mean, it's like you said, there's just not enough information out yet for us to really make a judgment call. But from what we have right now, a year suspension is insane.
All right, who'd you rather be? Would you rather be Ime Udoka or would you rather be the girl that threatened, that has a terrorism charge? Which one? For me personally, I'm choosing Ime Udoka.
He's just got money.
Yeah, he's got money. I think he's still technically married to Nia Long too, so she might run away with half of what he's got though. Meanwhile, terrorism girl, I hope she's all right because relatable, truly relatable tweet.
She's not the only one.
She's not the first.
She's not going to be the last.
And she won't be the last at all. Now, guys, when we come back from break, we are going to go through a majority of the top 25 college football board. All right. And here's the thing. I'll preface our next segment with this. There's a lot of people out there that talk about bets because FanDuel and DraftKings and all of them, they sign with all these stations and all the talent. They're supposed to say things, reads, whatever, make a bet, do this, do that. There's no one out there that bets it like I do. What was the first thing when we did our keeping it safe picks of the week off air? I was like, all right, well, this is our 3 picks. I'm going to put 100 on it instantly. You were like, what? And I'm like, yeah. There's only one way the viewership can trust me, and that's if I put my money where my mouth is. So I'm putting a unit on every single game we talk about today. Because I don't want someone, you go watch another show and they're like, yeah, if I had to take a pick, it'd be Tennessee minus 10.5. And they don't bet it. Mm-hmm. How can you trust them? You can trust me because I'll live and die by this ship, all right?
Post those picks too.
I'm posting the entire board after we're done. The entire board is going to be posted. So stay tuned. You can go with us live. If you want to call in, add into the conversation, you can call the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. We're in the Strike and Spare Family Fun and Sutter Studios. You're listening to WNSR, National Sports Radio.
Afternoon, quite busy over here on Briley Parkway up by County Hospital Road. Is heavy on the south loop, the west loop. Steady flow of traffic continues down I-40 through Mount Juliet. Right now through Wilson County, that's been in pretty good shape so far. Through Wilson County, 109's got some traffic there coming off the interstate. Over Gatlinburg Restaurant and Lounge celebrating Oktoberfest. It kicks off this weekend. You got to check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Located at 5410 Murfreesboro Road in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers is one-stop shopping for all your liquor, beer, and wine needs and has been a multiple winner annually in the Best of Rutherford County voting for Best Liquor Store and Top Wine Shop. Featuring the lowest prices, the best customer service with unsurpassed knowledge, City Slickers offers the largest craft beer selection in Rutherford and southeastern Davidson counties and has beer on tap at its Growler filling station. City Slickers also sells mixers, sodas, snacks, tobacco products, and the Tennessee Lottery, and can place special orders and assist with all your events and even wedding planning. Make sure you follow City Slickers on all their social media or just give them a call at 615-280-7469. That's 615-280-7469. Located in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers.
Are you an aging man who could use a boost in testosterone? Men listening to this station are invited to call now and get a free 30-day supply of Ageless Male Max, the total testosterone boosting wonder pill. No strings attached, no memberships, and no auto shipments. Just pay shipping and handling. Hurry for this exclusive radio offer. Just call 1-800-467-0931. Men take Ageless Male Max to gain strength and muscle and reduce body fat percentage more than exercise alone. Plus, you get a rapid boost in nitric oxide production, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Ageless Male is the #1 brand in male enhancement at Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free offer, you must call now. 1-800-467-0931. Your no-strings-attached free 30-day supply is yours right now. 1-800-467-0931. 1-800-467-0931.
Your exclusive Nashville Sports Radio WNSR Skyscan forecast for this afternoon calls for mostly sunny skies. Our high 81 as winds gust to 20 miles an hour. Tonight should be clear with a low of 51. We'll end the week Friday with sunshine and a high of 77. We'll kick off the weekend Saturday with a slight chance for afternoon showers. We can have a thunderstorm. It'll be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Utilizing the resources of the Weatherbug Network on Nashville Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's Rod Tanner.
Sports Radio, WNSR.
The afternoon stretch. The best show
I don't know if I can say that, man. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Welcome back. Bruno Reagan, Devlin McKenzie, head the board college football. Zach Williams, he's currently out getting a gastric bypass surgery, so we hope he has a safe recovery going into it. He'll be back tomorrow. Friday, free-for-all Friday here on the afternoon stretch. We're in the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio. If you want to call and get on the action, 615-844-5600. Listen, I have a lot of people that I really do. I'm not even lying about it. I have a lot of people at this point that mention me or DM me or text me asking for picks and advice now at this point, which warranted. The boy is hot, all right? So if you end up sending anything, I'm just going to link you to the first hour of this show, because I just counted it up. We have 60-plus games, I believe, on the college football slate. We're not going to go through every single one of them. But if there's a notable one, I am putting something down on it, okay? Just a heads up. And it starts tonight, 6:30. If you are looking at this football game, like if you're Devlin McKenzie and you're a Browns fan and you're like, I don't want to watch the Browns play, you might be watching West Virginia, Virginia Tech tonight, all right? 6:30, Virginia Tech, currently a 2.5-point underdog against West Virginia. I believe West Virginia is 1-2 and Virginia Tech is 2-0.
Correct.
So it's interesting that we're already starting out with the worst record is the betting favorite. Devlin, do you have any off the top, the over-under being 49.5, and a rivalry game? I mean, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, I always like to go unders on rivalry games because they're typically grittier. But I'm thinking probably here the safe pick would be I think you got to go money line. But 2.5 is just a silly.
Right.
It's a silly one. You don't want to ever take those 2.5s. If you ever feel confident in one, maybe push it back to 3. But here, I would just take a money line if you were going to bet at all.
Depending on how much those odds change, you might as well just take the money line.
And this show, bro, real quick, not to interrupt you, Devlin, but this show is gonna. I'm heavily influenced by Barstool. It is not Big Cat pick. So we're gonna have some great insight. But for other ones, you said it before the show, Devlin, and it was 100% correct, too. Betting is mental. And how is it mental? It's a vibe. Mm-hmm. The vibes are high right now. So we're going to keep rolling with the vibe. And if you don't trust your gut, your vibe, you're not going to be a good gambler, all right? Sometimes you got to go with your gut. And a lot of times that forces people to take Nebraska in the Oklahoma game. That's fair. Everyone misses every now and then. But our gut feeling is hot. So what were you thinking? Because I'm probably thinking Virginia Tech just on the money line plus 115 right now.
I like Virginia Tech just because I like the underdog odds.
Yeah.
This isn't really a game that I know much about, but if I'm going to make it fun for me to watch and I'm going to get excited about it, I'm taking Virginia Tech as the dogs.
Sometimes less insight is better.
Exactly.
I remember watching. I'll name drop him right now. I remember watching the Pick'em show for your keeping it safe lock of the week was App State minus 13.5 against Troy, and Portnoy actually took Troy on the spread, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it's a rivalry game. It checks out well, and they were all laughing at him. They were like, you idiot. They've blown him out. They've done this. They've done that. Well, Portnoy was right. Troy ends up covering. And if they all had all not laughed and listened to his vibe, his gut feeling, I would be a very wealthy person because I had a $100 parlay that had App State. If I would have put Troy down, would have won about $3K from it. So it is what it is. But that's just a heads up. Sometimes you got a gut feeling. Virginia Tech is my gut feeling, all right? And the next game, Coastal Carolina, Georgia State, we're going to avoid those lower FBS schools. Next up, we got Virginia and Syracuse. Virginia is a plus 10 underdog against Syracuse. Syracuse, I can see why. They're absolutely hot right now. I don't know if you keep up with much ACC, Devlin. But Syracuse, I think I'm going to take Syracuse on the spread here, minus 10, if you don't object. Now, if you have any insight, please save me, too.
Syracuse just came off a pretty big win last week, correct?
Massive win,
yeah. I think they ride with that into the next week.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to get to the Cure Hotline, make sure we get everybody. We got Mike and Mountain Juliet. Mike, how are you doing?
Sorry about that, Mike. Give me 1 second.
There you go.
Nope.
All right. Thank you. Mike, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. First off, I say congrats to you and me. And I took the advice with the Vandy, the overall season wins. So I know we don't get paid out to the end of the year, but Congrats on that win.
Yeah, December 10th, I believe.
Yeah. I thought that was one fairly easy, I guess you could say. I didn't put as much as I should have down on it. But and then I thought this past weekend, you talk about the 2.5, and you've got me thinking about Virginia Tech tonight then, because, of course, I don't know much about them, but I follow Vandy, and when they were 2.5 with Northern Illinois, I took the money line. I thought that was an easy. Although the first half it looked awful, but
well, that's the problem about these type of rivalry games, and it's not like Vanderbilt Northern Illinois was a rivalry game, but these close games, I mean, they could really swing one way or another. So that's why I don't even like going on the spread on these. I would just prefer to go money line. I went money line with Vanderbilt in that game. In this game, and I'm going to go money line with the Hokies. And Virginia Tech, they're not off to the hottest start, and I can tell you, momentum is a real thing. Having played college football, you start bad, you're gonna that's going to kind of trickle in your head, and it can really make you make mistakes from all phases of the game. Quarterback can try and fade a ball in. I mean, West Virginia lost to Kansas. We don't know if Kansas is real or not yet, but that's their loss, right? Imagine losing to Kansas and then you're the favorite. So I think I'm going Hokies all the way today.
I just don't know who Virginia Tech has beaten. That's the only I know. The one win West Virginia has was against Pitt. Was that right?
Yeah. Well, Virginia Tech, they currently have victories against, smaller schools. They have victories against Boston College and Wofford right now. So. Oh,
okay. Yeah. But I'm with you on when it's 2.5 like that, I'll take the money line underdog. There's good odds, pays out a little better. And then if you can find, like this past weekend, I took Vandy and I parlayed them with Cal and the points against Notre Dame.
Nice.
And so that paid out well, which I'm looking now. I think unless Notre Dame, I think I'm going to pick against them every week.
Yeah, and Mike, sorry to cut you off, Mike.
Oh,
here. Well, here's what I'm going to advise with you, Mike. Because we're going to go through like the entire slate of games. All right. So if you're like me and you have to have a bet down when football's on, I would take Virginia Tech. All right. But we are going to go through a lot of games. So you'll hear one where you get that feeling. Like Vanderbilt 2.5, that was my lock of the year. And they say if you win a lock of the year, you're never a loser for the rest of the year, all right? So if you want, you can just keep listening to and you'll hear that one that might click. I think Florida-Tennessee under is probably going to be my lock for the college football slate this weekend. They never really go over. It's always a gritty game. I believe it's at like 62.5. So, but if you got to get one on tonight, I would say Virginia Tech.
Okay, yeah. I don't always have to, but I like to just kind of, like I wasn't aware of the Virginia Tech, so when I hear something that kind of sounds good, I look a little more into it and go with it. But I appreciate the talk, the college betting talk. It's interesting. I enjoy it. So you do a good job.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And I think you and me have a really good mindset on it too, Mike. The most important thing about gambling and stuff like that, it's entertainment and it adds like a viewing pleasure. You cannot go into this thing thinking, I'm going to make money at all costs. This is not how it goes. First of all, this is just to heighten your viewing experience. And then if you do make a little bit on the side with, your guarantees, that's just a plus. And the fact that I'm a Vanderbilt alumni, and I assume you might be a Vanderbilt fan, at least now you are, that they paid you out, It does make it that much sweeter.
I remember watching you when you played there, so I've followed them for a long time. But so it's good to hear alumni talking on Sports Talk. There's not a lot of Vandy guys that are in Sports Talk around here, so I appreciate that. But I do remember following you and watching you play. So it's good to talk to you. Good to hear you, talking sports, and so it's a good little show you got going.
I appreciate it, Mike. You call in anytime, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the support throughout the years, for sure. Have a good one.
Oh, yeah. All right, you too, man. Thank you.
All right, Devlin. Well, that was a really wholesome call, and that's two days in a row. People are calling like, thanks for talking Vandy on the air. So, hey, I would be a pretty terrible alumni if I didn't. But we got to start, getting through these picks. Devlin, listen, did you remember when I was talking about Iowa, Nevada last week? So Iowa hadn't scored yet.
That's right. Yeah, I took Nevada that week. I took their points.
And guess who lost? Nevada.
I did. Yeah,
I did too. I was big on Nevada. But Air Force, you remember them also. This is a battle of two stinkers right now. They're both probably on everyone's fade list. Air Force couldn't rush the ball at all against Wyoming in their triple option. Nevada, they just barely got out-covered by Iowa, which Iowa should. But that proves how bad Nevada is, and also how bad Air Force is minus 24.5 with the over-under of 46. I think I'm hammering this under. I say hammer, but I'm spreading my units out as much as I can. But with over-under of 46.5 with Nevada, who can't score against anybody, not even Iowa, And Air Force, who had trouble scoring against Wyoming, I think I'm taking that under 100%. That's tomorrow game.
You wouldn't parlay it with a spread or anything?
I'm keeping away from the parlays for the sake of our pick'em show. We're gonna stay away from parlays and just try and get an overall record. I think that's how we're gonna do this segment out. But we got to start getting moving on these picks. I'm going, and if you have no objections, I'm going under 46.5 for Air Force Nevada. I love that pick.
Yeah, stay away from the spreads in that game. I like the under for sure.
Now, here's an interesting one. Baylor, Iowa State. All right? I'm very biased. This is the first game starting off a Saturday stretch. Baylor last year, if TCU didn't absolutely fumble the bag at the end of the season, Baylor might have been a playoff team. Baylor won the Big 12. Close game against Oklahoma State there at the end. They lost a tough one against BYU, and then BYU went out and got smacked by Oregon, but BYU is played with injuries, so it makes that loss, makes Baylor look way worse. And now Baylor is plus 120 against Iowa State. I'm hammering Baylor. Now, I said I wouldn't go over my units. I'm going over my units on this one. I know someone in the Baylor program. I know how good that program is. I don't trust Iowa State. The Cyclones, you think they're going to be good or match up? Baylor at the underdog, even if they do lose, it's a free value bet. I'm taking that 100%.
I got Iowa State by points in this one.
You got Iowa State by points?
Yep.
Well, 2.5?
Yep.
Yeah?
I might as well take I might as well
That's
take,
fair.
But if they're already favored, they're probably going to be favored by what? Minus 200, minus 150, something like that?
So hey, that's totally fair if you want to take them. I mean, it is good we have some diversity in these picks. Mm-hmm. I do think I win this one out and eventually keep the magic of Hispanic heritage points going for the boy.
And technically, you're fading me.
Technically,
so
I
positive.
am. It is good.
Yeah.
It's good for me. And I'll leave that up to the viewership. Devlin has had a rough 2 weeks. But you know what people hear when they say that? You're due. Oh, you're due.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite saying in gambling.
I love how this is basically, this entire show is just going to be an audition for this gambling show I want to do one day. So next up, now, Georgia at Kent State. Kent State at Georgia. But Georgia minus 45.5 points. You probably see these spreads and you're like, I'm going to stay away from that. Me, I run to them. Because I used to always fade Tennessee. Whenever Tennessee would play a cupcake like a Bowling Green, I would take Bowling Green like plus 45. I'm like, no way that happens. And it would always happen. So I reversed that logic this year. Last week I took Tennessee playing Akron minus 45.5 and Michigan playing Connecticut minus 45.5. And of course, both of those hit. So I'm going to ride that train of these big-time programs getting the job done. And I'm fading Alabama a little bit in terms of their overall skill this year. Georgia, not so much. Georgia is real. I think Georgia's the number one team in the country right now. So I'm taking them easily 45.5 over Kent State. Do you like touching these kind of spreads, or are you like a no guy? No, this is not good type of guy?
It depends on the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like in this game, I don't think Kent State's capable of even garbage time scoring against Georgia.
Yeah, no. It's not going to happen.
But like what you were saying where you're going to fade Alabama, I think Vanderbilt is capable of getting garbage time points. I think they can cover that 40.5 point spread.
Yeah.
Near the end of the game.
So don't go Kent State if you're going to touch this game. But when we get to Alabama Vandy, we might be able to have a conversation.
Right.
Michigan, Maryland, plus 17 for Maryland, who will be visiting. It'll be a Fox game, plus 550 on the money line. If you're feeling crazy, 64.5 over under. Michigan has shown that they can score points this year. The Terps, I think that's where Tagovailoa's brother still plays right now.
Correct.
Yeah, he seems to kind of falter in the limelight. I remember one of their primetime games last year. I think he threw like 5 or so picks. Mm-hmm. But other than that, they play solid. They're the Kirk Cousins of college football.
That's fair.
I'm going to go with Michigan on this because Michigan has rode me hot, and you got to ride the hand that feeds you sometimes. Michigan has fed me. I will go with Michigan on a unit, minus 17. But if you really do believe the Terps, if you're smelling underdog, I mean, plus 550, that's a nice little chunk of change if you want to go money line.
For this one, I've got Maryland plus 17. Mm-hmm. The only reason why I took them was because Michigan in the FBS has the worst strength of schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd how bad the teams that they're playing are.
I wish I had that for Vanderbilt.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's atrocious how bad these teams are. Michigan's absolutely beating the brakes off these teams, but they're nobody. Look, I think Michigan wins this game outright, but I think Maryland in a Big Ten or in a conference game can keep this within 17 points. Also, I'm a Buckeye fan. I just hate Michigan, so I'm going to fade Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you always reveal those biases because they can come out.
Exactly.
I totally forget you're an Ohio guy all the time.
Yep, die hard.
Penn State, Central Michigan, another 11 a.m. game. Penn State minus 28. Personally, Over under of 63.5. I'm thinking about taking that under. I don't think Central Michigan is going to be able to score it all. And Penn State, while they're a good team and they're going to be way better talent-wise, I don't know if they're going to be the type of team that puts up 40 or 50 and Central Michigan even be able to put up 20. I'm taking the under 63 on that game for sure. Betting the board, Penn State under 63. I'm going to make sure. And I'm only doing one of game. I'm not going to do points. I'm not going to do an over and under unless I really, really like it. Now, did you watch the South Florida game?
I did not.
No. It was a pathetic showing, and South Florida plays Louisville. Louisville has had the pleasure of being the Friday night games where me and Devlin will sit here and work and prepare for our high school show, and we'll have to watch Louisville there. Then they played Florida State they played UCF the first week, and then they played Florida State the next one, and they have been absolutely uncontrollable. On one hand, it looks like they're going to dominate, they're getting dominated, and then all of a sudden they come back and they turn it around. They did falter against FSU, but they're currently a 14.5-point favorite, over under 64.5. South Florida almost beat Florida, but I believe that's a trap. South Florida their quarterback is awful. He couldn't complete dirt. The great thing about Florida, though, was their quarterback can't complete anything either. So they were in a battle of rushing games. And that's going to be the same thing with Louisville, South Florida coming up. They're not going to be able to pass the ball. So if you think 64.5 is a good line with two teams that in Louisville can pass, it's just that Malik Cunningham kid is a lot better of a runner than he is a passer. So I think the under is a little. I think it's a little juicy, but if I had to take a money line, it'd probably be Louisville 14.5. I'm going to take the under of 64.5 over the spreads on this game. Do you like either of these spreads?
Yeah, I was going to say I really don't like any of the picks. I don't like the over. I'm not sure.
That's fair. You don't have to bet every game
right.
like me. I'll probably get about 30 picks here throughout the segment.
If I were to take a pick here, I don't know. I might take South Florida just because I think Louisville loves to keep games close. I mean, these last few have been just really exciting to watch. I mean,
they have been exciting, and they're all. This is going to be Louisville's, I think, one of their first Saturday normal games.
Right.
And it's still, even then, it will still be at 11 a.m. So it'll be interesting to see how the youngins respond. I'm just taking that under 64.5. We're gonna finish out this board. We're gonna do it, all right. And if we have to go faster with our picks, so be it. But we had to head to a break. So I'm Bruno Reagan. It's Devlin McKenzie. You're listening to WNSR Nashville Sports Radio.
Good afternoon. They just moved that Rec 40 eastbound at 2nd and 4th. It's still heavy coming off the South Loop out of downtown. Heavy but moving 65 up into Goodlettsville. Lots of radar out here. Give yourself plenty of extra time. Ober-Gatlinburg Restaurant and Lounge is celebrating Oktoberfest this weekend. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Whether it's getting your day started with a clear mind, taking the edge off after a busy day, or hitting the reset button at night, Cure helps us be our most productive selves. Completely organic and free of THC, pesticides, and heavy metals, Cure focuses on specific need states with great-tasting CBD products designed to help you focus, chill, and sleep. And that is exactly what the Cure brand products are named. Focus, chill, and sleep. Now available at select MAPCO locations. Visit thecurebrand.com to learn more and follow them on social media.
Jim Rome is here weekdays 11 to 2 on Nashville Sports Radio, WNSR.
The SEC is for closers, and there's only one way to survive in the SEC, ABC. A always, B, B, C, closing, always be closing.
A, B, C. A always, B, B, C, closing. Always be closing.
Jim Rome, 11 to 2 on Nashville's original sports radio, WNSR.
Follow the afternoon stretch on Twitter at Bruno Reagan and Zachariah W. Really, man? You want that? I'm not spelling that out.
Bruno Reagan, Devlin McKenzie, Zach Wilson, as some people would call him. I would do a lot of podcasts, and they would be like, "Your co-host Zach Wilson." It's like, no, he doesn't play for the Jets. Zach is actually two Zach Wilsons. Zach Williams currently out recovering from gastric bypass surgery. We're betting the board right now. We got 8 bets in. We're going to try and I would like to get to maybe 25 by the time we get to the hour break, and then we get into our NFL picks. But let's start going through it a little bit quicker. Clemson, Wake Forest. I've seen both of these teams. Clemson's kind of a fraud. I hate Dabo. I would love nothing more than to see him fall. And I'm a little biased in my hatred of him. There's nothing more cringier than when he's sprinting 15 miles an hour down Death Valley first. Makes it all about him. And they're playing against Wake Forest, a team I got to see play against Vanderbilt, who's currently 3-1. They're Vanderbilt's only defeat, and Wake Forest handily did a lot of offense on them. Now, Clemson's quarterback has taken some steps. I believe he's thrown 5 touchdown passes this season. The over-under 55.5. Clemson is actually a 7-point favorite. It scares me this game at all. Wake Forest did win their division in the ACC last year, but I think 55.5 is a decent over to take. I like the odds of that one.
Yeah, as far as spreads go, this game is gross.
Yeah,
I mean, disgusting. I hate everything about these lines. I mean, I don't know anything about Clemson. I'm not going to buy into that hype. I think you're right. I think they could be frauds.
They could be frauds, but Wake Forest also, they got Sam Hartman, their captain quarterback, back, and he looked okay, but there's just something, when I was watching them, Vanderbilt's not that amazing of a team right now. They are 3-1, but they played Elon, they played Hawaii, and then they played Northern Illinois, and they really had to squeak out Northern Illinois. So Wake Forest beating them really doesn't make me explode. So I think this is the game where you find out more about Clemson and Wake. I do like the over though at 55.5, and I am obligated to bet and put my money where my mouth is. Now for the big one, or one of my favorites. I think me and Devlin are both buying this hype. Duke and Kansas.
Love it.
Kansas, along with Vanderbilt, they also, so all the Vanderbilt fans and all the people who took Vanderbilt plus 2.5 with me on my lock of the year, Kansas locked at the same time. Right after Vanderbilt, same week, they locked their win total of 3.5. I think Lance Leopold has absolutely turned them around, and they've had a big win. They actually, Kansas beat West Virginia, who is going to be playing tonight, and the bad loss for Virginia Tech was Old Dominion. So it's two teams that are currently suffering, quote-unquote, bad losses. Duke's awful. And Duke produces, they'll be like, people will tell me, they'll be like, at least Duke produces more talent than Vanderbilt, and your talent is Daniel Jones. We have Zach Cunningham, and we have Casey Hayward in the NFL, and they're like, we have Daniel Jones. So I'm fading Kansas 100%. If Daniel Jones is the best your university can produce, I'm going in on Kansas money line, or excuse me, not money line, spread -7. I'm all with you here.
I love Kansas so much. I mean, they were the laughing stock of the NCAA, aside from Arizona. Yeah. They went 2-10.
Arizona Arizona wasn't even mentioned.
They did open tryouts halfway through the season. That's unheard of. I've never heard of a Division I. Anyway, Kansas, love them this year. I mean, they've already outplayed what they did last year. I don't know much about Duke, but I know I love this Kansas hype. I'm 100% taking Kansas -7.
If you hear any insight and you want to give yours, you can call in on the Care Hotline, 615-844-5600. Moving on, we got TCU, SMU, over-under 70.5. Probably, I think that's so far the highest over-under. It is. I mean, Memphis and UNT have 70, so these guys, okay, there's 71 with USC and Oregon State, which I'm going to go under on that when we get there, but this is the second highest over-under, and the craziest thing that you brought up was their spread is -2 for TCU. So Vegas is expecting this to be what would the final score of that even be? 37, 35? Yeah. Kind of that's how the computers have this one out. I'm not touching that over-under. That's scary. I will take TCU -2 on the spread. I like that. I like them. I think they've showed a lot of resilience earlier on in the season.
I might take the over in this game just because, I mean, a 2.5 or a 2-point spread on a 70-point over-under, that is insane. I've never heard of that. I'm expecting this game to be absolutely electric, and for it to be electric, there's got to be a lot of points. I'm just going to take the points here. Yeah. I'm not a fan of the spread. That's way too close for me for a 70-point over-under. Mm-hmm. I'll take the over. I like it.
And in their annual mid-off, Auburn will be playing Missouri on ESPN of all networks. They'll be on the prime ESPN slot at 11. This is essentially the who cares in the SEC West and East Bowl. Missouri is one of the worst teams, I believe, in the East. Auburn, same thing. Brian Harsin found himself on a bit of the hot seat. Over under 51.5. Auburn's bad. Missouri's also pretty bad, and I expect if Vanderbilt played both of these teams, I wouldn't expect Vanderbilt to beat Auburn, who they play next year. I do expect Vanderbilt this year to beat Missouri, so I'm going to go Auburn on the points -7. I think they do get it done against Missouri. I think Missouri is going to start getting a little bit more exposed, and they're going to be the Vanderbilt-esque dialogue team this season.
This is one of those games that I bet on and don't watch.
I don't watch a lot of these games, but I do watch a lot of them too.
I'm going to ride with Bruno here just because I know he's hot. I give me Auburn. I really could care less.
See, that's a good point too. Sometimes you just got to ride the hand that's hot. I'm not going to touch UCLA, Colorado. That's two dumpster programs in my opinion. But I am very interested as we start getting into the 2:30 slate of games. Notre Dame. They've been on my fade list for a while. I keep taking the other team on points, and they keep paying out. Notre Dame is actually the underdog right now
for good reason.
UNC.
They're awful.
But UNC also was taken to the wire by App State. I mean, they've kind of exposed over under 55.5. They are awful. And there was no. Did you see that clip of the coach on the phone with his quarterback? I mean, absolutely just ripping into him.
Catastrophic over there for sure.
Taking UNC.
I am
100%.
Yep.
We're going to ride the Notre Dame as fraud trains until it stops.
So bad.
100%. Michigan State and Minnesota. PJ Fleck's Minnesota. I've heard a lot of things about PJ Fleck in Minnesota. And I don't like them. Michigan State got taken out back of the shed by Washington. That was a tough one. I was on Michigan State on that game, and that one broke my heart because I actually had Michigan State, I believe, in 2 of my parlays. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a lot. I didn't respect Washington. I didn't respect their game. And I respected Michigan State and what they did last season way too much. I will take, for what it's worth, PJ Fleck, who, for all intents and purposes, seemed to be running a Colt in Minnesota, but Colts can do great things. So I'm taking Minnesota -3, over under 51.5. If I had to recommend you wanted to take one of those, I would take the under, but I am going to take Minnesota. I'm going to take a unit at -3.
I'll take Soda here, too. I'm not really a big fan of this game at all, but if I'm going to pick one, it'd probably be Minnesota.
Now, the real interesting one. The one this is, I believe, my college football lock of the week. Florida, Tennessee, CBS, 2:30. I already said it yesterday. When was the last time Tennessee won this game? 2016. The last time before that, 2004. And all of a sudden, they're 10 points. Tennessee is that good. Tennessee deserves this spread. But every time they play Florida, Florida makes it gritty. Florida makes it dirty. Florida makes it, turnovers. There's fighting. There's penalties. There's going to be ways that points get out of it. And there will be some magic at the end. I mean, there was magic last time when there was, I think Tennessee also backdoor covered last year, which broke my heart, throwing down the middle. But it never goes over 62.5. Vegas intends for Tennessee to score a lot. Florida maybe keep up for a little bit and then trickle down, and then it'd be a blowout. Essentially a blowout in Tennessee's favor, but I don't think it's ever gone over 62.5 in all those games that I looked up for the history of this rivalry. I'm taking the under at 62. I think Florida at least makes it competitive through their grittiness, and their defense always shows up. Florida has a rushing attack, too. It's going to wear the clock down. They know they can't trust Anthony Richardson. I love the under on this one.
Yeah, with Florida not throwing a single touchdown pass yet this season, I like the under a lot in this game. The spread disgusts me. It's one of those games where it's just gross, and I don't want to touch it at all. But I do like the under a lot, like you said. I'll just hammer the under here and hopefully get some money out of it.
Last one before we go to break, Devlin. Texas and Texas Tech.
Texas.
What you think Texas?
Hammer.
Oh my gosh. Hey, for what it's worth, Devlin has been wrong on a lot. I will remember this one. Devlin, this is the one that's going to make or break you going into next week. Texas. But Texas Texas almost beats Bama. Then what do? They almost lose to UTSA. What's the logic with Texas hammering here?
What Texas are we going to get? I don't know. But what I like is I got one little report that said Quinn Ewers is potentially coming back for this game against Texas Tech.
Love it. I'll take that at 7.
I got to take Texas here. I love this Texas team with Quinn. They're so fun to watch. I got to take them.
I love the confidence going into this last pick before the break. Real quick, me and Devlin are going to go to a break. We're going to try and get through the afternoon slate of games, and then we'll start our NFL picks. You're listening to WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Good afternoon. Quite busy, actually, as we check it out live on 24 eastbound at Bell Road through the Hickory Hollow Parkway area, headed back out through Rutherford County. It's also crowded, 65 to the north. A lot of traffic, 65 in Brentwood and Franklin right now through Williamson County. Pretty busy with radar down through there as well. Ober-Gatlinburg Restaurant and Lounge is celebrating Oktoberfest. It kicks off this weekend. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hendrick Motorsports and Kyle Larson are two things that go together, and it's going to be for a while now, as the defending Cup Series champion has inked a contract extension through 2026. It's also been announced that HendrickCars.com will be his primary sponsor for 35 races a year going forward. Larson is currently fourth in the championship standings. He is 21 points out of the lead. Since Kyle Busch failed to advance to the next round of the playoffs with his engine blowing up at Bristol of all places, Joe Gibbs Racing is shifting things around to strengthen the team still in contention. The pit crews of Denny Hamlin's 11 team and 18 team of Kyle Busch will swap for the rest of the year. The reason? The team is getting stops done in around 10.33 seconds. Oh, and they also hold the record for the fastest four-tire pit stop in NASCAR history, weighing in at 8.6 seconds. Wow. All right, in case you didn't hear from this past weekend, failing to advance to the next round of the playoffs and are eliminated. Kyle Busch, blown engine, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Kevin Harvick, who was looking like he might win this thing, but his final pit stop ended his chances. So, the top 12 continuing on to the next round in the round of 12. 12-1, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney 8. Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Kyle Larson number 4, Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, and Chase Elliott is the leader. You are locked on to the final lap.
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy.
Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 10/1. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Are your tax problems keeping you up at nights? Hi, Tax Owl here from the Coast One Tax Group. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state in back taxes, take 10 minutes and call Coast One Tax Group. It could save you 93% or more. Coast One Tax Group helps people all across America save big amounts of money. David from California saved $48,000 on back taxes. James and Lisa from Dallas saved $102,000. Call Coast One Tax Group now at 888-337-6949. A 10-minute call could save 93% or more. So who are you going to call? Coast One Tax Group, that's who. See how much you can save. The consultation is always free. What are you waiting for? Relieve your tax stress today. Call Coast One Tax Group at 888-337-6949. That's 888-337-6949.
A show called The Afternoon Stretch is a stretch. Calling it a show. The Afternoon Stretch.
We got about 2 minutes before the hour break. I'm Bruno Reagan. We got Devlin McKenzie. We're in the Striker Spare Family Fun Center studios. If you want to ever get in on the action, you can call in on the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. I want us to get to 20 picks, so I'll give my picks for these next four, and then you just kind of give me your stamp of approval or disapproval, Devlin, before we get to the hour. So Kentucky, Northern Illinois, over under 53. I saw Northern Illinois put up points at will when their coaches weren't being total morons. Kentucky's going to score more than Vanderbilt. They do have a good quarterback. I will give that guy credit. I'm going to the over at 53. Like or dislike? Like, good. Go moving on. Arkansas, Texas A&M. You can give your input here if you want it. This one's super tough. Arkansas +2. I would just take them on the money line personally. I think Texas A&M is kind of I think they're starting to crack. Arkansas is a solid team with Sam Pittman. They're different than what they were when I was in college. Over under 48, which is also interesting. I'm taking Arkansas on the money line.
This is my battle of the frauds here.
Yep.
But I like the talent more on Texas A&M. I'm just going to take Texas A&M.
Yep. And this one probably close to your heart on ABC, 6:30 p.m., Wisconsin, Ohio State. Currently, Wisconsin is a +19 underdog, over under a 57. Wisconsin on the money line, +650. I don't think they get the money line, but I am taking Wisconsin on the spread. Like or dislike?
Hate it.
You hate it?
I'm going to take
But you're
Ohio
betting
State.
with your heart.
I am. Yeah, that is very true.
It's a tough one.
Completely biased here. I love Ohio State more than anything. I'm taking Ohio State spread. I think that offense just ridiculous.
And to round up our pick, this will be pick number 20 when we get back from the hour overview for everyone that wants to get on the action. Vanderbilt. I have to bet Vanderbilt. It has to be somewhere on the board. Plus 40.5 against Alabama. Last time we played, Alabama beat us 59, but I don't think they have the motivation. I think this Alabama team's weaker. I think Vanderbilt can score on the back end. I'm taking Vanderbilt plus 40.5 100%. Like or dislike.
Vanderbilt garbage time points. Love it.
AJ Swan, new. They'll have hope. I think they're going to play them tighter than we think. All right, guys, that wraps up the first hour. The next hour, we're going to go into our NFL picks, so please stay tuned. You're listening to WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
ABC News Now, I'm Derek Dennis. A new Inspector General's report by the Labor Department shows billions in pandemic unemployment relief may have been handed out in fraudulent claims. ABC's Andy Field has more.
The U.S. Labor Department's Inspector General says it warned the department people were making fraudulent unemployment insurance claims, but that the Labor Division that handles those payments ignored the advice, which then created more fraud. The price tag, more than $45.5 billion in money the government should not have paid. Some of the COVID relief went to people who had died, had suspicious email accounts, and even federal prisoners.
In Connecticut, radio host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones testified today at a civil trial. Jurors will decide damages he must pay for defaming families of Sandy Hook Elementary School victims. Jones falsely claimed the mass shooting was a hoax. Jobless claims rose slightly last week compared to the prior week. 213,000 Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits. This is ABC News.
Hurry into the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool energy-efficient appliances. You can also save with a smart thermostat. Right now, select Google Nest Learning thermostats are $60 off. Plus, find other great energy-saving items throughout the store and check your eligibility for rebates in your area to save even more. Don't miss the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Golfers, tee it up this fall at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for big savings. Save up to $150 off on Ping G425 woods. Upgrade your gear with discounted Wilson stand and cart golf bags. And stock up on TaylorMade Distance Plus golf balls, now 2 dozen for $35. Don't miss these items and more happening now at Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get a free custom fitting today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%. APR 4.23%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rates subject to change. Pay 2% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
The official NFL app has you covered on all things playoffs. Never miss a second this postseason because the NFL app is your key to watch every game of the playoffs for free on your phone or tablet. Plus, get all the latest breaking news, videos, and highlights of your favorite NFL teams and players. Download today at NFL.com/mobile or in your app store. Certain restrictions and data rates may apply.
Hey, this is Greg Pogue inviting you to join Joe Fisher and me for our Mid-State Checkdown Game of the Week Friday night. Davidson Academy at Nashville Christian. Airtime at 6:45, 7 o'clock the kickoff. Our evening begins with high school coverage. Murphy Fair's matchup at 6:15 and a scoreboard show with Bruno, Ray, and Devlin all the way up to 11 o'clock. You can find us everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, WNSR.com, and that free app, Davidson Academy. Nashville Christian, Friday night, right here on Nashville Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Everybody stay calm. Stay calm.
Call now on the F&M Bank phone line, 615-844-5600.
You are an unstoppable good idea machine.
Now here's Bruno and Zach.
Second hour of the afternoon stretch. Bruno Reagan, Devlin McKenzie. Zach is currently out auditioning to be the new Andre the Giant in the WWE. Today, when the adults are away, the kids shall play. And we have played. I mean, we have the first entire hour, we did our own little pick'em show. And really, we could have done 4 hours, I feel like. But we got 20 of, I think, our favorite picks. And then for the entire second hour, we'll start going into our NFL picks, which we record every single week. And usually we keep that off bet and we just do a pick'em unless it gets to like a +10 scenario. But to go over our entire college football board, and if you hear one you get interested in, you want to take, you can jump in with the boys because we are hot right now. But going through it, we got Vanderbilt. They're playing Alabama +40.5. Wisconsin against Ohio State +19. Devlin hates that one. Arkansas, I'm taking them on the money line +110. Northern Illinois, Kentucky over 53. Texas -7. Florida, Tennessee under at 62.5. Minnesota -3. North Carolina -1.5. Auburn -7, TCU -2 against SMU, Kansas -7 against Duke, the Clemson Wake over at 55.5, South Florida Louisville under 64.5, Central Michigan Penn State under 63.5, and then rounding it out, we got Michigan -17, Georgia -45, Baylor +120 on the money line, Nevada Air Force under 46.5, Syracuse -10, and then Virginia Tech money line tonight. It all starts tonight. This is my favorite thing about Thursdays. It starts like a 4-day slate of gambling. And by the end of last week, I will say I was overstimulated. I can easily see how people get caught up in, because I won more than I ever won. I think career-wise, I was down 2,000 of my 3 years being a gambler. So to instantly recover and double, by the end of it, I wouldn't care if I had lost it. I would have been willing to just bet it all. So I can see how. So just make sure when you get on these 4-day slates, try and keep some perspective. And it's easy when you lose, like Devlin.
Oh, yeah, but right. I mean, I don't want to gamble. And for those of you listening, and you think you're going to be able to do what Bruno did last weekend, probably not going to happen.
Probably not.
They're not in your favor. Just be careful.
But you can take my picks and see if the Hispanic heritage magic is still going to carry on. I truly believe there's something in the stars. Yeah,
I think Bruno's picks are ridiculous right now. If you're going to take anything, just take what he's thinking.
In my NFL, so we're going to get into our NFL picks, and this is optional gambling. I will offer some of my gambling takes on it because we've already did the first hour. Why not do the second hour? But this is something we do every week on the show. We do our week pick'ems for the NFL and our results going into week 2. Currently, atop of the leaderboard, Zach is 19-13 in his NFL picks, and then falling behind Devlin, 17-15, close, and then I'm trailing 14-18. Now, you might think, oh, Bruno Reagan sucks at picking the NFL. You should have seen my week 1 picks. They were awful. I was abysmally behind. I've actually clawed my way back into a point where I can take them, where I can have some insight, and it starts tonight. All right. This is one where we're already split on the show. So Zach isn't here, but he did send me in his picks. So we'll offer Zach's picks and then we'll give our takes on it as we go through the show. Tonight, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns. I think 30 minutes right after the show. They get into it, all right? Pittsburgh is currently a 3.5-point underdog against Jacoby Brissett and the Browns, who just lost a heartbreaker against the Jets. They look like they dominated that game, then they gave it up. The wind is going 30. The over-under is smaller than it's ever been on a primetime game. Zach thinks the Steelers are going to take this. Devlin, what's your pick for this one?
I mean, I can't bet against my
yeah,
I can't take any. I can't.
This is your heart game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I'm taking the Browns in a game that I don't even want to watch. This is going to be bad.
It is going to be bad, but I trust the Browns' rushing attack more than you got to find something you trust in the game. And Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are real. Let's get that out of the way. Those guys are real. I don't know if I look at anybody on the Steelers. Mitch Trubisky is good enough to win some games this year, maybe keep that win streak, that's the season win streaks going for the Steelers. But their wide receivers don't have any. They're not nothing special. Najee Harris can't. I don't think they just match up to the duo that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is. I am going to go on the people I believe I can trust on the Browns, and there are some solid athletes. And that wasn't Jacoby Brissett's fault the way the Browns lost that game.
Not.
So I will go with the Browns with you. Zach will be taking the Steelers, and it starts tonight where I start itching back towards Zach. Going on next, we got the Ravens and the Patriots. Baltimore is currently a 2.5-point favorite. This one is a crazy line. I think I would hammer the Ravens.
Here. It's 2.5 points.
What does Vegas know? This is one of those what does Vegas knows games. But don't let that trip you out, too, because everyone thought the same thing with Oklahoma and Nebraska. Why is that line so low? And then Oklahoma blew them out.
Yeah.
So many people bought that. I couldn't believe it. So I'm going to stick with the Ravens and what's safe here. Zach did also. Zach picked the Ravens.
Yeah, all three of us got the Ravens.
Three.
The Patriots looked atrocious in a win against Pittsburgh. It was like the worst win I've ever seen. They looked terrible. And then even in a loss with the Ravens looked incredible in that loss.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens win this one maybe by 10 points. I might move that line around if I'm going to take a bet here, but outright 100% the Ravens.
Now, probably the most anticipated matchup, I would say, going into week 3. Buffalo Bills, 6.5-point favorites against the Miami Dolphins. And we're a little split here. Zach thinks Miami's going to take this one. This is a highly anticipated matchup. If you weren't paying attention, the Dolphins had an extremely crazy 17-point, I believe, come from behind fourth quarter win against the Ravens. They were like, how are they doing that? Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, they were firing on all angles. Tua looked good. Mike McDaniel seems to be the wizard we all thought he was. And then you have the duo. You have Diggs and you have Josh Allen. Zach took Miami. And I assume he's riding the hype train. Devlin, you took the Bills.
I'm taking the Bills in this one. See, the thing is that I think the Bills, I think the hype is right. I think they're as good as they are. People think they're as good as they are for a good reason. It's because they are as good as they are. And they've shown it on the field for the last 2 weeks. Now, the Dolphins have shown flaws as far as defensively.
They have.
The Ravens ran the ball all over.
And the Bills are so good on defense. I think the Titans' loss is exacerbated because it's the Bills are so good on defense. It made us look awful.
Insane.
Yeah.
That team is so good.
They're probably a lot better than Baltimore. I was a little tossed up. I put my cursor on to pick the Dolphins, but after hearing you talk, I clicked on the Bills and put my name down. And I think offensively they have more spread out talent on the Dolphins.
100%.
But they're not as strong as the bond that is Josh Allen and Diggs right now. Diggs is gunning for best wide receiver in the league right now.
He's
in the league.
Offensive player of the year right now.
That is true.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I am going Bills. Zach will be going Dolphins, and you'll be on me with the Bills. This is our way to catch up to Zach right here. You might take the lead. Going into the next pick, New Orleans Saints, -3 versus the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Saints seem like the easy pick here. And I think Zach nailed it down. Divisional game means a lot for Carolina. This is the only way they can really compete. Getting into the later division rounds, you can't lose these type of games early, especially the way they started against the Browns. Zach picked the Saints, and I can see where he's coming from. Devlin, you picked Carolina. Explain.
Gambling 101 here.
Oh, okay.
The only reason why I'm taking Carolina here is because they're due.
Oh, they're due argument.
Look, I hate Baker Mayfield, and I know the Carolina Panthers are atrocious. I do not care. The Carolina Panthers are due. Christian McCaffrey, ankle hopefully will be fine. He just kind of got listed on the IR. I think he's going to be just fine.
He was listed on the IR for week 1, 2. Not IR, but injury report. He was listed on the injury report week 1, 2, and he showed up.
Yes.
So.
And then the Saints looked pretty terrible against
the
Bucs. Yeah. This is just going to be a bad game in general. But I'll take the Panthers to win this one outright.
And here's my explanation for taking the Panthers. It's the only way for me to catch up to Zach because I have to catch these ones.
Yeah, you got to flip the script.
This is me playing from behind a little bit. Now, in the biggest what in the hell game I've ever seen in my life, we might have to spend a whole segment on this game. The rest of this before the break, the Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites against the Colts, who have done absolutely nothing, just got trounced and skunked by the Jacksonville Jaguars. You remember who the Colts played week 1? I'm trying to think off the top.
I can go back and check, but I know right now the Colts are second to the worst in the league for points against, right by the Titans. And the Chiefs are top 3 in the league in points for. You got one of the worst defenses in the league versus the best offenses. Why is it a 5?
This is what do they know? And don't talk yourself out of it. Don't Oklahoma, Nebraska yourself. Take the Chiefs 100%. We're all on the Chiefs here. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and the Colts tied. They tied. The Colts started off with two divisional games. They tied the Texans, and then they got skunked by the Jags, and now they have to go play Kansas City, an actual good team. Good luck with that. And I'm running straight to the sports book for this game if I'm, just being me. And it could randomly show up. Matt Ryan could come into form. Jonathan Taylor could do a little bit here and there. I don't expect it against the Chiefs, who look realer than it. I thought this was going to be the Chiefs' down year. I was praying on their downfall. Yeah. They look realer than they've ever become.
They look phenomenal. It's ridiculous. But like you say all the time, this is a trap game.
It is a trap game. It is a trap game, and in the NFL, it's more prevalent than college, right? So when Vegas was baiting everybody into that Nebraska line, they were like, "This is a trap game." Interim coach. In college, it just doesn't happen nearly as much. The talent gaps do, but in the NFL, the talent's close, so you can have trap games, and this could be it.
You never know what's going to happen. You're right. I'm taking the Chiefs to win this one outright.
It's just simply too. It's just too much of an easy one. I'm taking the Chiefs also to win outright. We'll probably be able to get one or two more before we head to the break. Detroit, Vikings. Detroit is they're plus 5.5 underdog, and the Vikings are the favorite right now.
I cannot wait for this game. I'm so excited for this football game.
This is going to be a good one. Divisional matchup. Everyone was like, is Kirk Cousins and the Vikings real? And the problem is I think they are. Kirk Cousins is just awful in prime time. He can't do it.
And he can't fix it.
But in this game, this is going to be like when I was sitting in that restaurant last year alone, eating lunch, and I'm looking up, and I'm just watching Kirk Cousins dog Aaron Rodgers like 25-0, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, just eating alone. I'm expecting this to be the Vikings' redemption game. And the Detroit is real. I think Jared Goff is getting his due. All around, they have good talent. Swift is amazing. I just think Justin Jefferson comes back on a revenge game. Can you imagine two back-to-back bad weeks for him? I can't. Mm-mm. So it'll be a competitive game.
It's going to be such a good game.
It will be a good one.
I mean, so Zach and myself both took the Lions
Detroit,
in this one.
Yes.
And the reason so is because, like you said, the Lions are real. And I think the Lions have everything that you need in a football team. You have what can be a great quarterback. You have an amazing receiver in Amon-Ra. You have a great running back duo. You have a great edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson, who has been shocking the nation. I don't know how he's been doing so well. I mean, he's from Michigan, so I just assumed he was going to be terrible. And then Jeff Okudah is starting to look like a top 5 pick that he was. He's finally having that year. I love the Lions in this game, but it's going to be such a good game. As far as games to watch, this is the one you want to have on.
This is the highlighted one.
This is such a good game. I'm so excited for this, but I'm taking the Lions.
I think the Lions are due for an ass whooping, to be honest.
They're due for a year of it. I'm so excited for it.
I think that the Lions do have the talent, but the problem is they had a lot of this talent last year, and they were still awful, right? So it's like they're playing up to their level now. But in the NFL, you're going to have down weeks. I'm kind of just preparing for them to have the down weekend for Minnesota. It's going to be a competitive division the entire year between Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit. I think we can kind of write the Bears off. They're not going to be able to do much, and
they're pretty bad.
Yeah, they are pretty bad. But it's going to be a three-headed monster in this division. I think the Vikings just kind of take Sunday to even it out. I'm scared taking the Vikings, I will admit. And also, I'm the man in the arena. You and Zach did both take Detroit. But the man in the arena doesn't listen to criticism, and he doesn't go on Twitter, and he doesn't cry, and I'll take that loss like a man. But I can't believe I'm trusting Kirk Cousins. But just the same way I trusted him to fail in primetime, and he was the only 2 legs of my parlay to hit, I'm expecting him to just absolutely dominate in this divisional matchup. We'll be able to get one more here before we head to the break. Philadelphia, Washington Commanders. We have Zach taking Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia is currently a 6.5-point favorite on the spread. They absolutely showed up on primetime. We're firing on angles. Devontae Smith finally got his answer. A.J. Brown still looks real. Their defense looked amazing. Darius Slay looked like he was wearing dang Vikings colors out there. I don't know what the deal was, but the Eagles look to be one of the NFC favorites. Meanwhile, Washington, they had a decent game against the Jaguars and then kind of fluttered against Detroit, who's also a good team. And then Carson Wentz almost brought them back from the hole he did put them in. And I'm also extremely biased towards Washington. I want to see Washington succeed so bad, but the Eagles really are those guys right now. But this is also an Eagles trap game. Washington and nobody more than Carson Wentz wants to see the Eagles get their due.
This has trap game written all over it.
You and Zach, I can understand your safe pick I can understand it 100%.
They are him.
They are.
The Eagles are insane.
But it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I've watched Jalen Hurts get benched. It feels like yesterday I watched him get benched for Tua when they were both considered bad players. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden he's one of the top. He's playing like a top 7 quarterback in the National Football League.
Top 5. I argue. I mean, he's one of the favorites for MVP. This is insane.
This is such pre-Week 5 NFL football. It's insane. That we're talking about Jalen Hurts, potential NFL MVP. This is like how Derek Carr was last year. Everyone was like, hey, this could be his year. No. Yeah. I want to say the same thing for Jalen Hurts, but they're such a good team on all angles. They have a decent O-line, strong receiving core, good running backs. Their quarterback looks real. Defense, I mean, probably strong secondary. What else do they have? I think they did lose Derek Barnett on the season, though. I'd have to double-check on that. Derek Barnett, a Nashville native, I think he might have torn his ACL. So let me make sure before I call someone down on that sort of trouble. Let me go double check on that. Yeah, he suffered a season-ending ACL injury, so that's a little struggle for them on the edge defensively. It's not something they can overcome, though. He is an extremely talented guy.
They look great. Yeah. I mean, there's so much talent around Jalen Hurts. It's going to be hard for him to fail anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even know what more to say about this Eagles team. They just shocked me.
I can't believe I'm taking Washington right now. This is insane that I'm doing this, but I am riding with the boys. I think this is if Washington does want to compete in their division and make a playoff run with Wentz, and they are paying him all that money. They're paying him like Ryan Tannehill-ish a year money. Mm-hmm. You got to win this game. You got to get back into the W column. So I think I think for lack of a better term, they are due. Now, I have faded Zach on a majority of these picks. So this is either going to project me up way past him, or I'm going to be in a hole deeper than ever before. We still have about 7 to 8 games to pick through, so stay tuned. We'll get to all of those. Make sure we round up the college football picks. Now we're going to round up the NFL, and then at the end we'll come together. We'll analyze where we're at and our positions. Stay tuned. You're listening to WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Good afternoon. Plenty of traffic here on the South Loop, the West Loop. Still crowded over here at Metro Center on 65 northbound. Heavy but moving down through Brentwood, Franklin. But it really starts to slow sometimes on 65 South as you get into Spring Hill, all the way down into Murray County. Lots of radar in Wilson County this afternoon. Ober-Gatlinburg Restaurant and Lounge is celebrating Oktoberfest this weekend. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
It's a scorcher out there, but we've got tips that'll keep you chilling this August. Tip number 1, keep your AC in peak condition. Tip number 2, drink lots of fluids. Tip number 3, go for refreshing top prizes up to a cool $1 million by playing all new August Instant Games from the Tennessee Lottery. All of these exhilarating games can lead to cold, hard cash. So head to the shade of your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer and enjoy some game-changing fun today.
Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Please play responsibly.
From scholarship and grant programs to providing students with the qualifications and certifications they need to start their professional careers, the Tennessee Lottery has awarded more than $6.5 billion in funding to education programs, and we're proud to play our part. See for yourself how all of the fun of the Tennessee Lottery goes to supporting someone's future and a brighter tomorrow at tnlottery.com.
Today we decided to walk to school. At the corner, we waited to cross the street. The stoplight counted down. 15, 14,
31? 13?
We took a left on Carroll Garden Street.
Garden Street?
Loud music was coming from a car. Danny's a smart kid, but he gets so distracted.
There were so many other sounds, I didn't know what to focus on.
Danny, Earth to Danny. Suddenly, he realized he forgot his homework again.
I left my homework on the table.
At the school steps, we hugged goodbye. I really hope he doesn't have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Golfers, now at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, it's time to hit faster, longer, and straighter with Titleist. The new TSR drivers are designed to maximize distance and elevate your performance. Titleist TSR driver, pushing for perfection every day. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the new Titleist TSR drivers and get custom fit for free today. Can't make it in store? Visit us online at worldwidegolfshops.com. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee and family owned and operated since 1968.
This is the Greg Pogue and John Burton Show.
Former Titans coach Jeff Fisher.
Who's grumpy this morning?
Coach, I'm not grumpy.
Yeah, hey, John.
Yeah.
Pull your head out of your butt. Get yourself in a better mood.
I'll do my best, Coach. Thanks for the pep talk.
Okay.
You just made a promo for him.
Greg Pogue and News Channel 5's John Burton, WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
The show that makes the average person say, hey, I can do that. The Afternoon Stretch.
Just love letting this music play sometimes. Bruno, Reagan, Devlin McKenzie, The Afternoon Stretch. Zach Williams currently out getting a loan because he can't gamble nearly as good as me. You're listening to us in the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studios. If you want, get into the conversation. Call the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. That's 615-844-5600. First hour, we went all through college football. We picked out our 20 favorite games, gave you the lines, the spreads, what we like going into it. Now we're giving our NFL straight-up picks. And then I believe after that, we'll have some time maybe to talk, a little gambling in that. But we do this every week. Currently, Zach's leading the pack at 19-3. Devlin falling behind him at 17-15. The boys started a little weak in the NFL, but I had a great week, too. Now I'm 14-18. I'm fading Zach in a lot of these picks. So if there's any chance for me to come back, it is this week. We left off with Commanders and Eagles. Zach and Devlin taking the Eagles, which I think is the safe, smart pick. And me being a moron, I took Washington, and I can't wait for Carson Wentz to prove me right for whatever reason. I crushed the Colts. Devlin, you don't even know that story, do you?
I definitely don't.
No. So, yeah, I was a football player once upon a time. I technically still am. But I was a much more serious football player. I looked a lot leaner. I was a lot stronger. I was a lot faster. And I got a call when the 6th round was going on, and it was Indianapolis. And they said, I won't give out the names, but they said, hey, we like you. We want you to be the 2 behind Ryan Kelly. If you don't know who Ryan Kelly is, former Alabama center. He was a Pro Bowl level guy, all pro. And I was like, wow, this is all happening crazy. He was like, we're not going to draft you in the 7th. We got 2 picks. We got 2 skill players we want, but we're hoping that you get to UDFA, which is undrafted free agent. And then we'll sign you up there. You'll be priority. We'll give you a nice bonus, yada, yada, yada. We'll get you housing in Indianapolis, or we'll talk to my agent. Me and my family are looking up apartments. And then their first pick, they draft a tackle. And I'm like, oh, that's weird, But at least it's not my position, right? They did say they wanted 2 skill players, and they weren't going to draft any more linemen. And then their last pick in the 7th round, they drafted interior guard from Ole Miss. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And then my agent goes, hey, buddy, they're not calling me back. And then I try calling them back, and then they don't pick up. So from that day on, the Colts have been cursed. And ever since then, the Titans have won the division. Colts have been suffering, and they're still cursed. They owe me $1.2 million, and until they pay me out, they are not going to have this curse lifted. So that's the whole thing. But Carson Wentz was a part of that curse. So if he wins this game, I will uncurse him alone. And then I will keep the curse in Indianapolis. But I will uncurse Carson if he wins this game, because he helps me just to get that much closer to Zach. So that's the background on my little curse with Indianapolis. Does that sound wrong, what they did to me, Devlin?
Yeah. It sounds like something that they've and multiple other organizations have done to multiple people over the years.
They always tell you that's the business. It's just, it's always funny because that night, it was a sad night, but I was like, of course, like they always tell you, in this business, anything can happen and be ready for anything. And, you're owed nothing. And of course I had to get the worst of it on draft night. So that's why the Colts are suffering now, scumbag organization, but they pay one of my buddies. So I'll take that. Anyways, moving on, going into our NFL picks, just so you all understand the curse of Bruno, why the Colts will suffer eternally until they pay me my money. Raiders and Titans. Oh, Zach.
Yeah, I don't like
sweet summer child. Can anybody assume who Zach picked in a Titans matchup with the Raiders at Nissan Stadium? Zach's going with the Titans. And I go on the radio yesterday. I'm like, I think Nashville's a little bit soft. I think people are going too easy. The Titans are all doom and gloom. But maybe the Bills just are that real. And the Titans did show good stuff against New York early. And then just for whatever happened, they had a halftime breakdown. You know who else had the halftime breakdown? The Chiefs against the Bengals in the AFC Championship. And they're just fine. I wonder if this is just a string of bad luck for Tennessee that's kind of hiding the fact they might be a good team. But then I look at the secondary. I look at what Diggs did. I see Devontae Adams coming into town. The Raiders are also 0-2, but they were dominating Arizona before Kyler Murray wanted to show people, oh, my God, people are going to make fun of me. I'm going to go off. Zach picking the Titans, I think he's just putting himself in a position to be hurt, let down. I'm taking the Raiders 100%, and I think someone else here is taking the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer game for me. I'm sorry.
But, Devlin, every time you say that, the opposite happens. You might have – the Nashville will have to come to you and take the knee to you that you just won them that game by saying this is a no-brainer for Los Angeles.
If I'm going to defend myself at all in this, those picks are all college football.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay in my pick 'em right now.
You are. No, you're positive in the pick 'em.
Right. Again, this Raiders-Titans game, this seems like just a free win.
It could be
the
a
Raiders.
massacre.
I mean, it could. I mean, like, as far as
Vegas thinks it's closer. I mean, Titans are only a 1.5 underdog.
Which makes me think it's a trap game.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the spread's so close. If you're going to compare these two 0-2 teams, I think there's a clear winner as to who's the better 0-2 team.
Yeah.
I think there's much more talent on the Raiders than there is on the Titans. And, yes, the Bills are real. They're that good. But the Titans are that bad.
But you got to also look at what these teams are playing for. Las Vegas, they're already 0-2. Mm-hmm. They're not catching the Chiefs. They're not catching the Chargers. Las Vegas is out. Their season is already done. In my mind. If they somehow manage to come back, great. But I don't think you're going to come back against those. You have to get out early and stay ahead early to come back against those two type of teams. So you're not going to wild card. I mean, technically there could be 3 out of that division in the AFC, but I don't think so. No. I think Titans are playing in an awful division. They still have something to play for. I really do think that.
I'd agree.
If the Titans go 0-3, their season. If the Titans lose this game, their season is done. There's nothing to play for starting 0-3. 0-2, you can maybe get away with it. I mean, I always call out the 2-4 team that eventually Ryan Tannehill came in, saved, went to the AFC Championship, yada yada. Titans go 0-3. The season's over for the loser of this team. I just think the Titans have a longer, better stretch to win for, so I can give Zach at least that kind of mindset going into this game. With that said, Raiders win by 30.
Yeah. Look, I mean, honestly, I think there's a chance that every team in the South loses again. I mean, so the Jags are playing the Chargers, Colts are playing the Chiefs, Titans are playing the Raiders, and the Texans are playing the Bears.
The South just so happens to have the 4 worst teams in the National Football League.
Right.
And one of them will play in the playoff.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Titans do have that shot to play in the playoffs. And what you said to that, if they lose today, there's a chance. There's no chance they go. Like, there's no chance they're done. I think the opposite. If they lose today, or tomorrow, or Sunday, I think there's still a chance they can go because every team in that division could still lose.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville's the best team by far right now in our division, but whatever. Zach would give me trouble for that. So that's my take. I am taking Raiders. My heart wants Titans to win, but my eyes and mind are putting me somewhere else. Next up, Texans, Chicago Bears. Oh my gosh, the Texans are currently an underdog. I have no idea how. Brandon Cooks is who I always thought he was. Doesn't get the respect he deserves. Houston's not too bad of a team. Chicago, on the other hand, them being a favorite should scare every Chicago fan. What is your team, right? I mean, because the loss was abysmal. You got Jimmy G came in and it just made him look, Oh, excuse me, that was Seattle. Mm-hmm. Who'd the Bears play last week?
Packers, Sunday Night Football. It was really bad.
Well, that was A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones had the day.
Yes.
Aaron Jones had an absolute monster day against them. The Texans doesn't have that kind of rushing attack, though.
No. But, I mean, honestly, they really don't need it.
So Justin Fields, should they just, is Justin Fields just a lost cause and they're kind of just playing out his rookie contract?
I don't know if he's a lost cause. I mean, I'm biased again. Okay, forgive me. He's an Ohio State kid. But, I mean, I just don't think they trust Justin Fields.
They don't. He was 7-11 at halftime and they wouldn't let him throw.
You're down the entire game and you only throw the ball 11 times? I mean, that's crazy to me. You're down the entire game. You got to get that ball in the air. You got to get moving fast.
You reminded me of that, made me go on Texans with you guys. I wish I could be the contrarian and go Bears, who are somehow the favorite, but Texans, they wouldn't make a mistake like that. If Justin can't play, get him off your team.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes zero sense to me what the Bears are doing, but I don't think they win this game. I like the connection a lot with Mills and Cooks, and I just can't stand the Bears.
Brain dead millionaires, what can I say? So, yeah, we'll be going with Texans. We're all on the Texans. Zach, you, me. Next up, this is one of the most interesting conversations I think we're going to have by far. Cincinnati Bengals, -6-point favorites against the Jets. Zach took the Jets. I'm following Zach. I 100% think Joe Flacco and the Jets, their offensive weapons, they have revitalized in the Bengals until they show me. Until the Bengals prove me otherwise, I will not go on their side. But Devlin, you have a little different thought. Is this another heart bet for you?
I can't. I hate this bet. I just don't
Your
like
pick, yeah.
my pick. Excuse me. I don't like taking the Bengals in this one, but I don't like taking the Jets even more. It's not that I'm over here loving the Bengals in this game. I'm not hoping that the Bengals win this one by a billion. There's nothing as far as
You're just hoping the status quo of the Jets kind of upholds.
Yeah, but
Jets, poverty bad.
The Jets aren't terrible. And I think they showed that when you score 14 points on the Browns defense in less than 2 minutes in the game. I can 100% see why you guys take the Jets in this game. I'm just taking the Bengals here, I guess. Yeah. I trust Joe Burrow a little bit.
Yeah, gut. Well, I hope he can trust himself because he's come out and said, oh yeah, he's come out. He's like, I deleted social media.
Yeah,
I know.
People are making a big deal out of that. Yeah. Who cares? A lot of the athletes do that. He just doesn't want to be on social media because there's a lot of scrutiny behind him and the team. I don't blame him. Delete Twitter and Instagram. Win the game. Just win the game.
Joe, please win the game.
Win a game.
Next up, Jacksonville at Chargers. Jacksonville currently +7 underdogs. We have Zach Williams taking the Chargers. Fair enough. Mike Williams has absolutely shined out. They're saying that Chargers' best receivers out, yada yada. He might be right there. Now, Zach, on the other hand, also has Austin Eckler, and I think he is underwhelmed with Austin. I think Austin Eckler is a great player. Mm-hmm. I think Jacksonville is real. I really do. I think Trevor Lawrence might be the weakest link on that team, but Christian Kirk is obviously worth the money they paid. They have a good 1-2 punch on ETN and Robinson. And you don't just dominate a team like the Colts 24-0 by accident. They control the clock. They force turnovers. I'm gonna buy Jacksonville's hype. And Justin Herbert, he is also playing injured. Now I've seen some conflicting things. He fractured a rib cartilage, but I see other people being like, you can fracture a rib, but you can't fracture cartilage. It's unfracturable. So I don't know what the NFL doctors are smoking because you can't fracture cartilage. But that's the injury he's dealing with. Justin Herbert looked like he couldn't walk. He got hit, looked like he couldn't walk, and he throws dimes over the middle. So,
is there news on Keenan Allen yet? I'm not really sure what his injury was.
If there was, I would assume we would have heard he was playing. So I'm going to say he's not playing right now.
But Justin Herbert was on the field throwing passes today in practice.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
How injured he is. And he's day-to-day. So I expect him to play, but is he going to be the same guy? He can be on certain snaps, but I think you're going to see down snaps from him. This is just the perfect storm for Jacksonville to come in and pull off the upset. Keenan Allen, on the other hand, let's see. They're limited. So Keenan Allen is practicing. There is a chance he plays. But, with the way Mike Williams is playing, you might just want to leave him out.
With the way Justin Herbert plays, he can throw the ball anywhere. It really doesn't matter who the receiver is.
Is that so? I was the only one that picked Jacksonville. Zach picked Chargers. You also picked Chargers. Is there any other insight you want to add?
Yeah, so I picked the Chargers just because I think they're going to win this one outright. But Zach put a little note next to his pick, and he says he wants to take Jags to cover the points.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board with that.
You think it'll be a close game?
I think it'll be a close game because I think the Chargers are banged up, and like you say, I think the Jags are good. I think they're a good team. I think they cover the points. I think 7 points. I think that might move a little bit when we find out more about the injuries. But as a 7-point spread, I do like the Jags to cover that. I'll take the Jags points, but I am going to take the Chargers to win this one outright.
Mm-hmm. Moving on with our picks, Atlanta Falcons. They're playing Seattle. Atlanta is currently a point favorite against Seattle. I don't think Atlanta has won a game. Kyle Pitts is currently ranked on 34th tight end in the NFL in terms of production. Seattle just came off a pretty pathetic performance after, quote-unquote, upsetting the Broncos week 1, but they're not real also. So, Zach, he picked the Falcons, and I can already see Zach, if you don't know, is a massive Marcus Mariota stan, basically. If you don't know what a stan is, it's like a super fan. It's like people that'll hunt them down and ask for their autograph when they're 40 and then take it to their grave, right? That's what Zach is with Marcus. So I can see why I picked the Falcons. But the Falcons also just seem like a decent team that have just come up short just a little bit. They almost beat the Saints week 1, and then they get absolutely trounced by the Rams and then almost orchestrate the craziest comeback of the week, even more so than the Jets did over the Browns. So I think the Falcons really do have some juice. I think Seattle played their Super Bowl week 1 against a bad team, and now they're going to ride that out to the end of the season. I'm with the Falcons all the way on this game.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about the Seahawks week 1 Super Bowl. This is one of those games where I close my eyes, flip the coin.
It's just a monkey with a gun. Boom, boom. You just give a monkey a shotgun and see what happens.
I mean, at this point, I just picked him to be different. I really don't know or care who's going to win this one. I can't stand either of these teams. But I guess I'll just ride with Geno here and hope he has another week 1 and week 3. I don't know. I don't.
Last one going into the break. Green Bay Packers, Tampa Bay Bucks. Zach's on the Buccaneers, -1.5-point favorite. They just don't look as dominant. Mike Evans is going to be out also. I think that's a massive hit. I'm going with the Packers here on this one. Zach did pick Tampa Bay, and I think that's always going with the GOAT is a safe bet percentage-wise because he does typically have winning seasons, wins games, yada, yada. But I think this is the perfect time for the Packers to start getting back into the swing of things. Aaron Rodgers to find his groove, keep leaning on those 2 amazing running backs you have, find your targeting weapons, and Tampa Bay will be a little short-staffed this week, so I like the Packers on this one.
Yeah, I like the Packers too, or at least I did a little while ago before I saw a headline of their top 4 receivers being banged up. Apparently, they're all limited.
Who cares?
I mean,
they're not good anyways.
You're right. I just don't like the Buccaneers.
Yeah, there's something off about him.
Yeah,
Tom Brady's whole drama, if you're keeping up with all that, he has a lot of personal life drama going on. They basically were in a goon fight with the Saints, which, granted, it is what it is. I like Packers here. I think Devlin also likes Packers. Mm-hmm. Zach's the only one on the Bucks. I think this is another one where I think that's a great money line play as the Packers, personally.
Yeah.
Real quick, we have 3 more games we're going to pick, so we'll get out of a break. We'll go through those 3 games. We might offer some primetime parlay advice to close out the show, so you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. You're listening to WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Good afternoon. The moving a wreck over here on Briley Parkway northbound into Cumberland River Bridge. It's also a crash. Been cleared 24 westbound at 440's got traffic running and pretty slow in that area. A lot of rubbernecking going eastbound. Heavy 40 east out through Wilson County. Over Gatlinburg Restaurant and Lounge celebrating Oktoberfest this year. Check it out. It happens this weekend. It starts this weekend. Obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The Omni Nashville Hotel, located 5th Avenue downtown, and proud sponsor of the Mid-State Checkdown High School Football Game of the Week, is Nashville's premier destination for the highest quality accommodations. Start your day with a cup of Bongo Java and the Biscuit Bar at Kitchen Notes. Indulge your taste with the best beef in Music City at Bob's Steak and Chop House. And wrap yourself in luxury at Macara Day Spa before enjoying a nightcap at Bar Lines. And when it comes time to host those holiday partings and gatherings of family, let the Omni Nashville Hotel take all the worry off your plate. Proud sponsor of the Mid-State Checkdown High School Football Game of the Week and located in the heart of Music City, the Omni Nashville Hotel is your only choice. The Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown.
Whoa, are you kidding me?
There's plenty of game left. Just chill out. If you're too riled up, you won't ever get to sleep tonight.
How can I chill out when I have to put up with this every single week?
Oh, and he gets picked off. Interception.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Okay, that's enough. Here, try these cannabis products from Lab Canna. And these heightened Delta 8 gummies and Karma Calming Caramels will help put you in a better state of mind.
Whether you win or lose, make every game day better with cannabis products from Lab Canna. Learn more today at labcanna.com.
At Quicken Loans, our 17,000 team members know that home is so much more than a house. That's because our clients tell us all the time. Hey, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, and we want to help you save money on your mortgage with some of the lowest refinancing rates ever. Rates are historically low. You may be able to reduce your rate and save money on your monthly mortgage payment right now. pay off some credit card debt, or put some money towards that new bathroom or kitchen you've always wanted. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%. APR 4.23%. That's right, 3.99%. While we can't predict what will happen in the future, we do know that rates have dropped, and now is the time to save money on your mortgage. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn how refinancing now may be the right mortgage solution for you. That's 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rates subject to change. Pay 2% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Five-state forecast. Your exclusive Nashville Sports Radio WNSR Skyscan forecast for this afternoon calls for mostly sunny skies. Our high 81 as winds gust to 20 miles an hour. Tonight should be clear with a low of 51. We'll end the week Friday with sunshine and a high of 77. We'll kick off the weekend Saturday with a slight chance for afternoon showers. We could have a thunderstorm. It'll be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Utilizing the resources of the Weatherbug Network on Nashville Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's Rod Tanner. Sports Radio, WNSR.
The show that makes you thankful for Braves games. The Afternoon Stretch with Zach and Bruno and Ray.
Welcome back. Bruno Reagan, Devlin McKenzie, Afternoon Stretch. Zach Williams out. He'll be back. Our faithful leader will be back tomorrow, Friday, free for all. We're going through our NFL picks. Zach currently leads the pack, 19-13. Devlin following behind, 17-15. Me in last place after having a really good week 2 to catch up. All right, so I'm really close, and it's going to be the differences this week. We have 3 more games to pick, and then we're going to talk about this primetime game as we roll out of the show here. Los Angeles Rams are playing the Cardinals in a division matchup, all right? Los Angeles Rams, 3.5-point favorites. The Cardinals, who just came off a prayer sort of win against the Raiders. They had the ball for what felt like the last hour and a half of the game. That might be an actual true stat. Zach took the Rams. Kyler Murray did show his flashes. He showed why he deserves the money. But the Rams are still a really good team. I mean, that Bills matchup, there's no shame in getting blown up by the Bills at this point. They are them, and the Rams are a close follow-up team. They'll be a playoff team, I think. I think this is where the Rams start to separate themselves from the division. I 100% think they're going to beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, I thought the same thing here just because, I mean, the amount of points that the Cardinals have given up so far this season is pretty absurd, especially with week 1, 5 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford looked rough in that week 1. I think he started to slowly come back week 2. I really do think that a 3-point spread is a little bit ridiculous in this game. I think the Rams could really take this over. I like Stafford. I like the Stafford Cup duo more than I like anything on the Arizona offense.
Yeah, you have A.J. Green dropping 15 passes in the end zone until he magically catches the 2-point. Yeah, the 2-point that pushes that one to the end. Yeah, so I think the entire show is in agreement there. I think that only happened twice this week, so this will be the third one we're in agreement. L.A. Rams, I think they take it over the Cardinals. Moving on, San Francisco 49ers, 1.5-point favorites over the Denver Broncos. Zach has the 49ers. I think they're better with Jimmy G. I think Trey Lance is just a whatever. They have rumors coming out of the locker room that everyone's so hyped that Jimmy G is playing. They trust this guy more. He's taking them to the playoff, yada, yada. They win the game. Denver Broncos, on the other hand, look awful. I'm all in with the Niners on this one, especially with this close of a line. Devlin, what are you doing? Why? Why do you? I see a big old D right beside Denver Broncos on my little sheet here.
I'm riding with the Denver Broncos like Russell Wilson. I like the flashes of hope that I get from them.
They do get to the red zone. That's where they disappoint.
And they're pretty bad. Yeah, they're pretty bad in the red zone. Overall, like you keep saying, Broncos are a bad team. You're right. They're a bad team. The Niners, even though they were like drowning in that game versus the Bears, I think that's a terrible loss against the Bears.
That is a really bad loss.
It's a really bad loss.
Yeah, you're starting to talk me into it. All
but
right.
I wouldn't switch your pick. I don't like this pick.
No. Yeah.
Which is the reason why I'm faking myself out here because when I don't like my picks, I usually win. When I love my picks, I usually lose. I hate the Broncos in this game.
Yeah.
I'll take the Broncos.
I think you've talked me into like a little Broncos money line actually when we get to that point. No, I mean, because Stanford, you do raise a great point. That loss in the rain is inexcusable. But the Niners with Jimmy G, it gives a sense of hope, a sense of optimism, something we just don't know yet for a full game.
They're better. I mean, They look better.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope for a fast recovery for Trey Lance, but Jimmy G's not going anywhere.
No, he's not. He's not, and he's making. I think he makes $300K, or he makes like $400K to play every game, and then $300 extra K to win. Wow. So that's the incentives in his contract. So he made his money, man. So me and Zach are on the Niners, Devlin on the Broncos, rounding out our last pick of the week, Monday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants. Devlin, I think this is the week you fall behind, brother. I'm on the Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't great, but they did beat the Bengals, returning AFC champion, by the way, with Cooper Pass. His real name's Cooper Rush, but this dude passed for, I think, over 230 yards, blows all his props out of the water. Cowboys look like they're alive. I mean, and the Giants, I think they're a total fraud team. I think their 2-0 is not nearly as impressive as advertised. I think the Cowboys, you can get them on a money line. It's an even better bet. You know, they're not. Cowboys aren't a bad team. They're a middle of the pack team. I think the Giants are a bad team hidden as a good team right now. But Devlin, he thinks otherwise. Devlin, what do you think?
I don't even think the Giants are a bad team hidden as a good team. I think they're a bad team, and everybody knows they're a bad team.
Everybody knows they're already bad. Yeah.
I hate Dallas. I just genuinely I do not like the Cowboys. I've said it from week one when we started these pick'ems. I will fade Dallas every single week. I do not care who they are playing. Yeah. I am fading Dallas. I do not like the Cowboys ever. I'll take the Giants, even though I know they're terrible. They're not a good team. They're 2-0. Congratulations. You're still bad.
A man of honor, Devlin did say he was going to do this. I remember exactly, and he is doing it. So even though there's no rhyme, reason, or logic, he will fade the Cowboys, and that could be a point against you, me, and Zach. And God forbid the Giants start 3-0, and they're like, oh, my God, we have to pay Daniel Jones money now.
I don't want to hear that.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Well, that wraps up the picks. A pretty divisive week of picks so far.
We only agreed on 3 different weeks, right?
Yeah, I'm looking through our little doc here trying to count it up. I believe there were 3 unanimous games. The Chiefs against the Colts were one. The Rams were another. The Ravens were another.
Texans was one other one, I think.
And that's it. Yeah. So 4. We did agree on 4, which is pretty rare for the show. Yeah, this will be exciting to see when I come back. Either I'm going to dig myself into the biggest hole ever in our NFL picks. And Zach Williams will have one thing. I mean, we've been doing the show a year. I won the picks last year, I believe, and then I won the listener league, and I've always been really humble about it because I know Zach can get a little worked up. So God forbid I let Zach get one thing over me. That's why I have to be a little more aggressive with my picks this week. But that rounds up, a long list of pick'ems through college football and then all the NFL. Now we get to something I always do. Whenever there's a primetime game, we always go through a leg too long parlay of sorts. Well, I offer a solution. I think tonight's game is an opportunity, some might say. And I'm not no more 4 legs, Devlin. I think tell me how you like about this one. 100% Pat Freiermuth, first-time touchdown scorer. If there's anybody that's going to get a touchdown score on the Steelers, other than Najee Harris, it's going to be Pat Freiermuth. And for the value you get, it's unmissable. All right, so you can bet a very small unit and already have this because that's a plus 1,300 by itself. I think that's a solid one on the Pittsburgh side of things. You like that one?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Mitch Trubisky has completely shown that Pat is one of his favorite targets. Made
him one of the best tight ends in the fantasy right now.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think if there's going to be a touchdown scored, it's not going to be some crazy 60-yard bomb. It's going to be something short and shallow from about 5 yards where Pat Freiermuth hits a shallow route and catches a touchdown.
And with what we've seen with passing and the over-under and the field conditions and the weather conditions, I think Nick Chubb, anytime touchdown scorer, is actually a guaranteed lock. It's currently minus money. And if you put those two together, you get $2,700. So that would be like, if you bet $10, that'd be $273 payout.
Yeah,
so I like this one for same game parlay. It's only 2 legs.
I mean, that's crazy to me. Is that like that's a 2-leg parlay that has a really good chance of paying out the same odds as like a decent 4-leg parlay. So like a lot of the times we do a 4-leg parlay, it's usually looking about $2,500 to $3,500.
Yeah,
this is a 2-leg parlay at $2,700.
Yeah, it really just comes down to the Steelers. Pat Freiermuth, and you never know with first-time touchdown scorers. You remember when Mike Evans scored? That one, we were like, what the heck? That was in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was the second half. And it finally hit.
So it's one of those things. I think first-time touchdown score is really where a lot of money can be made. So you look at the second target in terms of, because I think Najee Harris would obviously lead the field, but then you look at Pat Freiermuth, you get his value, and then you get Nick Chubb, who scored 3 touchdowns last week, I believe. When it comes to clutch time or the scoring downs or the closer artists, they're going to put Chubb in to try and pound it in. I think this is as solid as you can get, and one that can hit, and one you can put little money on, and maybe make your whole week worth of units. Now, Devlin, I think you had, before we close the show out, I think you had some future things you want to talk through. So any off the top of the head you want to get out for the people?
Yeah, so I was looking at the future awards, for the end of the year. So we got, obviously, our MVP, our Offensive Player of the Year, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Looking now, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, it's week 2, obviously, like you said about Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr was in the conversation early last year, and
right.
then that fizzled out immediately.
The conversation right now, according to FanDuel,
code TAS.
Right now, the MVP, I mean, the favorite odds, as everybody can imagine, is Josh Allen plus 270.
Yep.
And then you got Pat Mahomes plus...
This is for MVP?
Yes, this is for MVP.
Okay.
And you got Pat Mahomes here at plus 500, Justin Herbert at plus 1100, and then Jalen Hurts at plus 1100 as well. Now, obviously the safe pick is Josh Allen. He's looking like the MVP.
Is it, though? Because future is not something you put a ton of money on.
No, it's not.
Unless you make it your lock of the year at Vanderbilt. I think I'm on the same page with you. Because if I had to pick any of those 4 at that plus money, I would pick Jalen Hurts.
100%. I was about to say, I love Jalen Hurts. I love the odds on this.
Yeah. I'm already right here. I'm already right here on the books. Code TAS if you're on FanDuel. You can put down any of these future bets. Just know that when you bet a future at FanDuel, if you bet a future win total or whatever, it won't be cashed until the end of the season. I get a lot of people, since we win here, people have to ask me that question, not to personally brag or anything, but so yeah, I totally love Jalen Hurts over like a win over there. But that wraps it up. Devlin, I appreciate you helping me out riding the show solo. Zach will be back for Free for All Friday. You were listening to us in the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio. Man, I love y'all. This was an awesome week. We hit so many picks, so we'll circle back next week, get to see how we did. I'm Bruno Reagan. This is Devlin McKenzie. You're listening to WNSR, National Sports Radio.